This will be part 1 in becoming Shameless Elle, and before I was Shameless Elle, I was Squatting Dog. I think that public speaking is probably the scariest thing you can do with your mouth. There's probably been a few other things that have, but that's not a story for right now. Still remember my first time public speaking, and that's because my schoolmates never let me forget it. It was grade 1, and the teacher was calling a new student to the front of the class to read along with a book on tape. To say that I was a shy child would be putting it lightly. This was the scariest thing that I had ever done in my young life. But you know, the one thing I love about God is he gave all of his creatures a unique and special defense mechanism. The octopus inks, the blowfish inflates to twice its size. I pee. God just looked at me and said, you know what? Make that one pee. And hopefully all the other creatures will think it's pathetic and leave it alone. So there I am sitting in my desk pleading with God that she wouldn't call my name, but she called it anyway. Instantly, my bladder filled with pee. I got up from my desk and walked to the front of the class and looked back at all of the eyes staring back at me. That's when I felt the first drop of pee. The tape started and I stood there muttering along and flipping the pages, but in my head, I just kept thinking maybe if I stand still enough, the pee will go down one leg, completely avoiding my pants and into my shoe. At some point, I convinced myself that was a real possibility. And I released my bladder. Made sure to stand extra still and stare deep into the eyes of all the children staring back at me. I felt like maybe that made it less obvious. But then they started to whisper, and I just kept staring. Then they started laughing. And at that point, I just kept staring. Sadly, no matter how still I stood or hard I stared at them, did my pee become less visible. That didn't stop me. I just kept staring at them. And that is how I got the name Squatting Dog for the next 7 years.